double up real fast because I saw the live stream. Abnormal Beer Company.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I noticed.
So
I was like, no, it's not brewing.
Well, you said it too. You caught it. At
Yeah,
the end.
right.
I was like, oh, you caught it.
All right, what's going on, you guys? It's Leo Brown here with Hanging with Barrels and Leafs, and today we are hanging with my man Jeff Milton.
What's going on, man?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm here, man. I'm here finally, kicking it with you guys, man.
Dude, I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah, we're really enjoying the beers, man. I know that you gave us a couple of samples, and I can't do it the right amount of justice that you can. You know, I mean, we talk about it all the time, is that, you know, I describe cigars, you describe beers well, you know. So we're going to get into it. We're going to let you do what you do. And we're going to talk about how we're going to look at pairing it with some cigars. Okay. Because obviously we're inside because of San Diego. It's freaking raining, you guys. Nothing that we can really do about that. But we can still bring you the education piece on all of this stuff.
Hey, all I'm going to say, though, real fast, it's still better than the East Coast snow.
It's better than snow.
I'll take the rain.
I can deal with this. I can really deal with this. So, Jeff, why don't we do this, man? Why don't you let everybody know a little bit about you and how long have you been brewing and what got you into brewing?
So, really it was looking for a career change, and had a friend of mine that was going through the San Diego or SDSU brew course, and we started doing a little bit of home brewing, and that's really about as far as I ever got on the brew side of things. But I realized going to a bunch of breweries, and we have over, I think 200 here in San Diego now.
Okay.
That
well, I don't know if it's 200 because I just read an article
Yep.
About a month ago said that Chicago overtook San Diego.
You know, it's always debatable, back and forth, and the truth is that we always have breweries opening and closing.
Right.
Unfortunately, we've lost some good ones this year, or at least at the end of last year.
I know I heard about Council.
Yeah, Council. Yeah. That's a shame. They make some great beers, and hopefully we'll see beers from those folks again at some point. But you know, I just started traveling and trying out different beers, and really, I wasn't big on craft beer because I had always thought, well, an IPA is an IPA, and that's all it is. And so anytime I saw an IPA, I didn't want to drink it.
Right.
And my friend going through this course started sharing beers that they had in that course. And I finally found a beer that was like, holy cow, wait, this is an IPA. And he was like, no, it's not just an IPA, it's a double IPA. And it was Pliny the Elder.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a really good beer, piney notes, and I found that I enjoyed it.
Right.
And it kind of started to open my mind in all these different styles and sours and stouts and porters and all these different things, and the things that get used in these beers as well that really give them the taste and the flavors that makes each one so different.
Right.
And so I always tell people, I love people that say that they don't like IPAs, and then we hand them something like what we have right here. This is Hazy Dreams, and this is our Hazy IPA, and cheers.
Cheers.
And this is one of our staple beers. We can it. It's so you can get it at liquor stores all around San Diego. In fact, we actually even export. This beer has gone out to Belgium, Australia.
Did it hit South Korea?
It did hit South Korea, and our person over in South Korea, Tilt Imports, it was sold out before it even touched land.
Wow.
Yeah, he had it sold out before it even touched land, and so for our next shipment, we're definitely going to be shipping more.
Right.
You know, hazy IPAs they've been around for a long time. You know, they're also called East Coast IPAs, and that's a style that they've been doing. And people used to trade beers all the time from the East Coast to the West Coast because besides just on the East Coast, they didn't make West Coast IPAs, which were super bitter and the stuff that, you know, really set the West Coast up for the craft beer mecca that we've become.
We're going to talk about that bitterness too.
Yeah. And so I think we started having people going, wait a second, why are we trading beers back and forth? We can make this.
Right.
And so breweries here in San Diego and on the West Coast started making hazy IPAs, and everybody's kind of like, well, what makes it different? Okay, it's cloudy, but it's the way that the hops are used that you end up with actually more of a sweetness to it. You know, West Coast IPAs hit you with a ton of bitterness, usually ends on a nice bitter note, and some people like that. But for people that are getting into craft beer, it can really set your taste buds off wrong.
Sure. Yeah.
And so when you have something like a hazy IPA, one has got great mouthfeel, but what they do with the hops and how we utilize the hops to get more of the grapefruit bitter and fruitiness at the end that just makes you want to have another sip.
Right.
And so it's so inviting.
Like this one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think even when we first sat down and I poured this beer to you and you were like, wait, this is an IPA.
Yeah.
You know, you almost don't even realize that it's an IPA, but you know, it's sitting at 6.9%.
Right.
And it's still got great hop characteristics to it. And those are the things that are just awesome about the innovation that we in San Diego and the craft beer community has. And how, really truthfully, the biggest thing, there's a beer for everybody.
There is.
Yeah.
That is one thing that I've been learning more since being in California, that it's craft beer country, you know, but there's so much more to craft beer that a lot of people don't know, and I'm glad that we've gotten around to getting with you, because one of the things I want to know about is, you know, you were talking about it, you went there before I could say it, hoppiness versus bitter, right? So you said with hops, you know, you get that grapefruit, you know, from it. Are there any other flavors that you can get from hops?
Oh yeah, so I mean there are so many hop varietals, it's crazy, and every varietal has its own use. Some you know, are used in the beginning of the process to get bitterness out of it, some for aroma. You know, the taste of beer is one thing, but also the smell. You know, anytime you know, that's one of the first things that you get. You know, as soon as you go in, you get that smell, and so you want that good aroma. And so hops are used for all different types of things, and each hop is used differently. Real big is some of the hops coming from New Zealand and Australia. Those are really big. Nelson is a big one. A lot of people have seen Nelson IPA around, and that use primarily that kind of hop, and that those hops kind of give you that grapefruit. But then you have other hops that will give you kind of a piney note, almost like, you know, you're walking through a forest of pine trees. And so,
like Pliny the Elder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so because of that, you can really utilize those hops to change the characteristic of how your beer is going to taste, and the experience that the person is going to have when they taste it.
And that's a good leadway into, whenever you're talking about flavor and taste, it's a good leadway into bitterness. So I know, like, I'm not an IPA guy, you know, and I get a lot of grapefruit every time I taste an IPA. And then I get the bitterness on the backside, like you were talking about. You guys' beer is a little bit different from me, from my palate.
Yeah.
So how does the bitterness really play the big part into an IPA?
Well, when you look at like the West Coast style, you know, that really came out, I like to say that it kind of hits you in your mouth of things that people weren't used to before. And so IPAs, you know, I mean, really you start with the history of the IPA in general, of it being, you know, the start of a pale ale in England, but those beers wouldn't survive their way to India.
Okay.
And the troops wanted their beer.
Right.
What do? You add more alcohol. Well, to make it last longer. And that's purely what really how India Pale Ale turned out.
Okay.
And so you got that bitterness because you needed, when you added that alcohol, you added more hops, and that added that bitterness to it. And it's only been within, you know, maybe the last 20 years, and really within the last 10 years, that the different hop varietals have really started to explode.
Okay.
And so the staple of the IPA was that bitterness, but that hit you in your mouth, bitter. because it was different. It was something that told you this isn't your average beer.
Right.
And it gave a lot more flavor, a lot more notes.
Yeah.
That I think a lot of people were looking for in beer.
Yeah.
And so by doing that and finding that, you know, it drew a lot of people to start moving to the craft beer market and start paying for craft beer.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
And now I think we're seeing the transition where you're starting to see more hazy styles because people still like the hop, the hop bitterness, but with more and more new people coming in,
right,
that have already decided that they don't necessarily like that super bitter,
right,
you end up with stuff like the hazy, which will still draw them in, and great pale ales, and even for people that don't like any of the ales, you have stouts and porters, and sours. You know,
stouts and porters my favorites. Got some people here. What's going on, Cool Hand Lou? I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome.
So Cool Hand Lou, what's going on, my man? We also have my boys up in Bakersfield gentlemen.
Okay.
Said, who's the chucklehead on the left in the hat? All right, we'll talk about that, Frankie. Don't worry about it. What's going on, Cobra? Thanks for joining. So Jeff, here's one of the things I want to get into. So there is a uniqueness about Abnormal. And this is my personal opinion. You know, I've drank all the other companies that are around, a lot of the major companies. I didn't know about Abnormal until we met. The beers to me have a very, very unique flavor to them, all of them. Because like we said, I'm not an IPA guy. This is unique. I can drink the hazy IPA. I told you I drank the, the Turbidity?
Turbidity.
Turbidity.
Which that was a double IPA,
yeah,
hazy IPA.
And I liked it.
Yep.
It was great. And the ball sport, you gave one of those. Those are awesome. I mean, I can drink those. Is there something that's going on with what you guys are doing versus other companies? Is there something unique that you guys are doing? Because, I mean, like I said, for my palate, it fits well. And maybe it's just what you guys do versus maybe, say, a Ballast Point or Modern Times. Is there something unique that you guys are doing?
Well, what I like to say is that we're not afraid of taking risks when it comes to how we make the beers and what we use within the beers. Within the IPAs, really it comes down to just making a great recipe. And our head brewer, Niall Molina, is just fabulous at creating crazy good recipes on the hazy scene, and really all around. I mean, imperial stouts, sours. He started a whole sour program for us, which I can't wait till those beers start coming out.
Jeez.
But when it comes to the IPAs, you know, that base recipe, and then it's pairing the hops,
right,
and using those hops the way that what you want them to do. So we use a lot of Simcoe, a lot of Citra hops,
okay,
and you know that the Citra gives you that nice grapefruit,
right,
bitter. But also, it's, you know, where those hops get used in the process.
yeah,
That kind of lends to, as I've enjoy about our beers, that you end on a sweet note, not necessarily a bitter note.
Right.
And you know, our taste buds naturally say no to bitter.
yes.
It's just something that is a human thing.
So we get it at the back of the tongue.
Yep, exactly. So when you have those bitter beers, especially if you're a new drinker to craft beer, it doesn't make you want to go back and get another one.
Right.
Right. It doesn't make you want to sip again.
Right.
And by having the more sweetness on the backside, it draws you to, hey, let me
keep trying.
Let me drink a little bit more. And the thing is as you start to drink it and really get those flavor notes, exactly.
It gets lower and lower.
Oh yeah, it gets lower and lower, and all of a sudden you find yourself done, and you're like, oh, well, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the exciting part. I think that we were ahead of the time in making kind of decisions to go with hazy IPAs.
Right.
You know, and when I say that, we're talking, you know, weeks, months.
Right.
You know, hazy's now almost every big brewery, and I don't mean big as in size,
right.
but name brewery in San Diego really makes a hazy IPA.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great breweries in San Diego making hazy IPAs
Right.
that have really put them on the map.
Sure.
Whereas, you have other places, like Sierra Nevada with their pale ale, the hazies are starting to kind of make it to where the new generation of craft breweries
Right.
really are making their mark now.
Yeah. Because to me, the hazy IPAs are, I'm getting into the IPAs because of Abnormal, right? I'm just being honest with it, with everybody. I'm just being honest. So to me, I think the hazy IPA is becoming, I guess, the new thing on the block.
Yeah. So for the regular everyday person, definitely. Hazies have been around now. We've been making hazies for almost 2 years. Yeah. And so in the San Diego market, it's been pretty much that way.
Right.
And I think one of the things is there's two things about hazy that they have to get over. One, it's hazy, and everybody tells them, oh, well, that's not a clean beer. It's got to be clear. It's got to be perfect. Right. Right. And you know what? The way that I tell people is, if you drink it and you like it, that's what's important, right? It's just like a cigar. Yep. It doesn't matter how great stuff is with the cigar. It doesn't matter what the manufacturer is, the roll, if it's Cuban, if it's, Dominican. It doesn't matter if you don't like it. Right. And so, so that aspect, and then the IPA aspect. Once again, people see IPA and they had a bad experience. Yeah. And they don't want it again. So, I bet you've been to plenty of breweries that have hazy IPAs. Yep. But before I said, hey, you need to try this. Yeah. Right? You didn't want to. You saw IPA and you're gone.
Right. I really didn't want to do it.
Right. And so I think that's the other one is that having people to kind of push people to try things. Yeah. Because it is different. Yep. And so that's the big one. And that's kind of what we love here at Abnormal is being able to share something different and kind of help educate. Sure. The beer consumer about different styles and if I always love when somebody says I don't like this or this because it's like, well, let me take you on a tour.
I always tell people you got to try something once at least once. Right. That's the only way you're gonna be able to find out. Yeah. And when it comes to cigars, you got to try them at least twice because it's gonna be different. Right. So I don't know what it is like in the beer world, but I'm really figuring that out is that, I've got to try it more than once. That's the only way that I can say yes or no. So, I'm thinking everything needs to be tried twice.
Well, the biggest thing about most craft breweries, especially us and our signs and stuff, everything is small batch per se. Right. We're making, 10 barrels or what would be equivalent to, 20 kegs, each time. And so, our recipes have to be top notch. Our brewer has to, the grain has to be, all done all the same way because he might have to do 2 or 3. Right. We might have to do 2 days worth of brewing to get 1 tank full, and his ability to do that is what gives us such a product that is just always consistent. Man. And it is. Right, and it is. So, that's just one of the things that we do, and like I said, there's some other great breweries in San Diego that are doing those things. Yeah. I think
you guys are unique, man.
Yeah,
you guys are unique.
We are. We are. So, and really on that, most people don't know, but I was going to say, hey, where we're at right now.
Absolutely, go right ahead, my man.
So we're actually sitting in what we call the library, and as you can tell, there's books and stuff. And this was actually a third stage of Abnormal. We actually started as a winery.
Really?
Yeah, we started as a winery. Our owner, Matt Deloach,
right?
Liked making wine at home. Yeah. And decided to take the leap, and he's always been an entrepreneur, and so he decided to create a small craft winery here in Rancho Bernardo, and in a business park, something that was very abnormal. Right. And
very abnormal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the first time you ever drive up here, you have no clue what you're about to walk into, and so he started that, and it really picked up, and he started moving fast, and it didn't take too long. I think just over a year and a half that he thought, hey, we've got so many industrial businesses around. Let's open up a restaurant. Something to give kind of back to all the people that are around us that supported the winery. And then, of course, well, if you're going to open up a restaurant, the hot thing is let's open up a brewery.
That's it.
and so you find us as a today winery, brewery, and restaurant all in one.
Dude, I love it.
And the crazy thing is, we went from one suite in this building, and we have all of them now.
Right.
And we've expanded. This actually became our private dining area for parties, business meetings, and the front half, and then the back half is our extra tank capacity.
Right.
That we found we needed really quickly.
Yeah.
As we started making more and more beers, and so we've got a really unique experience for anybody that wants to come up.
It's so unique.
Yeah, because there's something for everybody. We've got great food. Our chef Scott Cannon
the
is
food is the
phenomenal.
The food is the bomb.
Phenomenal, and we have a very open restaurant style too.
Yes.
So you see all of our chefs
Yes.
working. You see all the food being prepped right behind the bar. You've got this amazing bar with 40 taps.
Yep.
And then right behind that is the brew house. So
Yep.
if you're in here on an afternoon during the week, you'll see our guys brewing.
Yeah.
And so we really want our patrons to feel like they're a part of us and
That's
a part
right.
of the Abnormal family.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't mind being abnormal.
Right. Right. All of a sudden you start to, if this is what it takes to be abnormal, hey, it's not hard.
I'm in.
Yeah, right?
I'm in. So, how about this, man? Why don't you let us know what's going on with the warehouse? Because I know that we went over to the warehouse.
Right.
And you guys have something that's very, very unique inside that warehouse. Let's let everybody know what's going on.
So, everything's been a fast pace with our company, with Abnormal.
Yep.
After a year of having the brewery operating, well, actually quite basically less, we increased our fermentation capacity by 500%.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that created another problem.
Right.
Storage.
Yes.
If anybody's been here, or if you come here, you'll see we don't have a lot of room.
No.
We might have the whole building, but we use every inch of
square
space
inch.
as possible. Yeah. And so we found that we needed another location to be able to store kegs, and we found this really awesome spot just up the street. In fact, it's in a industrial park that I went to elementary school only a mile away from.
Okay.
And when I was a teenager with a car, used to mess around in the back parking lot
Right.
and do some things the police probably wouldn't have liked. But
They liked it. They just
right,
didn't. Yeah.
right, yeah. So and it's a roughly 9,000 square foot warehouse.
Right.
And there's a couple really cool aspects about it. So it was an open floor plan with a 2-story set of offices, and so our main offices are in the bottom, and that's actually where I work and where I run all of our export stuff out of, and our storage. But we decided with that spot, we need to build a cold storage box.
Yes.
But when we started thinking about it, we started going, wait a second, we're not the only craft brewery that has this problem.
No.
Of storage space and space. You look at many of the breweries in San Diego are in small spots.
Small spots. Yep.
Small spots, and are really limited by how much they can store.
Yeah.
So they got to make it and got to get it out
Right.
ASAP. So we thought, well, you know what? What if we actually built a cold box big enough that we could lease space to other breweries or anybody else that needed space to be able to store their product?
That's brilliant, man.
Well, we had some horror stories when we were using cold storage.
Right.
We were at a place where literally you could get there,
Mm-hmm.
and it could take you 30 minutes to an hour just to be able to use the forklift because anybody else with cold storage there was using it too.
Right.
And so we wanted to make that experience go away for others. And
Right.
so we built a cold box at 60 feet by 48 feet by 21 feet tall.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean a lot to most people, but with the movable racking system that we have, we can store 4,000 kegs.
Now look, I just want to really expand on that. You said it's a movable rack system.
Yes.
People don't know. You guys will see it on the YouTube when we do it. People don't understand until they see this. These racks are how tall?
They're 19 feet tall.
19 feet tall, and you can fit approximately how many pallets of kegs?
So roughly 4,000.
And they move. The actual racks move, and they're all electronic, right?
Yep.
And you can spread them out however you need to.
Yeah.
You can go 10 at a time, or 2 at a time, or 1 at a time, whatever. This is a great thing, man.
Yeah, so it's really unique, especially in the beer industry. Most cold storage, most breweries store just on the ground, and they'll stack.
Yeah.
And they'll stack. And one of the things that we do know is always a hassle with that is when you need to get to those back pallets.
Right.
You're having to move a lot of stuff, and anytime you have to move something, you want to touch things the least amount as possible,
time.
right?
That's right.
Because it's time.
That's right.
And so by having the movable racking system, we were able to actually accomplish 2 things. One, we were able to double the capacity compared to standard racks.
Right.
So right off the bat, being able to double capacity of what we could store was really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually set it up to where each spot fits 1 pallet with 8 half barrels, which is your standard keg, or 26 barrels, which is, you know, the kind of tall, slender kegs.
Right.
Slides right in, and boom, you're done. But we could still adjust the racks up and down as well to allow for bigger and taller pallets or anything of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, Abnormal is all about trying to be collaborative and trying to help other craft breweries.
Dude, you guys are just abnormal, man.
Well, you know, it really it's a philosophy that we try to do everything with.
Yes.
Matt, our owner, has really instilled in us, you know, everybody, the restaurant, the winery, the beer side, that we want to be collaborative. We want to help each other out.
That's right.
You know, there's no sense in fighting. We're all in the market.
We're all doing the same thing.
But we're all doing the same thing, right? And so we've been able to help out some breweries and some other people with storage capability.
Yep.
And the fact that they can give us a call and say, hey, Jeff, I'm going to be up in 4 hours and I need this pallet.
Right.
Go, no problem. They pull up to our loading dock, I'll get the pallet down, and boom, they're off. Sometimes our customers aren't there for more than 10 minutes.
Right.
And the
That's
thing is, it is, right? Because any small business owner knows that, once again, time is money.
Time is money.
And that's what we found was hard. When we had to sit, and our driver would have to sit for 40 minutes just to get the stuff.
Right.
You know, that's 40 minutes. That could have been 2 deliveries. That could have been back.
Yeah.
So now we provide that experience for people, and we've had good success with that. And as we've been growing, it's allowed us to expand into more of the cold storage box as well.
Right.
We've been expanding big deal to a little bit of Northern California, but especially overseas.
Yeah.
And our overseas market we're kind of all over the globe now, which is awesome.
I see.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm surprised that a lot of people don't know about you guys. I just don't get it.
You know, we fly under the radar a little bit, and you know,
to say the least.
Yeah, right. I think it's one of those things. It's where we're located. You know, we're a hidden gem tucked away in you know, sleepy Rancho Bernardo. I like to say the restaurant's a place. You know, if you want that kind of downtown experience with food, but you don't want to get dressed up.
Right.
You don't want to deal with downtown parking.
Right.
You know, we're the kind of place that you can come and you can get all that experience without the hassle of dealing with downtown.
Right. Yeah, because you don't have to pay for parking.
Nope. No, you don't have to pay for parking. And you know, I believe in the YouTube video, you know, you'll give them a small tour of the restaurant. You'll see it's a unique spot. It's everything, every aspect of the place we built out. You know, Matt, our owner, he's got a vision for what he wants us, you know, the company to portray, and so every rock, the brick wall, the barrels up in the kind of loft area, all those aspects, and that's what we're about. It's something that's warm, that's comforting, and that's who we are. We're people that, you know what, come and talk to us.
That's it.
Let me tell you why we do what we do.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we exist.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that, you know, talking with him and talking with you, it was very comforting. It was very warming. Everything felt as it's okay, you know. And that's what I really appreciate with coming here. I appreciate from the beers themselves, they give you something that is saying, hey, come back, join us again. Each beer, I mean, you've given me a couple of beers, and it's been phenomenal. It really has. I mean, I can't, like I said, I can't express it enough to people. I mean, I'm trying to get you into Excalibur Cigar Lounge.
Yep.
Where I'm talking to Tom right now.
Awesome.
So we're going to see if we can do something. Talking to another lounge for you guys. So because it's something that I think that people need to go out, buy, drink, and really get a good feel for. Because the beers are just totally different. It's a wonderful experience being here, drinking the beers. And, you know, when we talk about that, we talk about getting into the cigars. Right?
Okay.
So the cigars, what I want to do is I want to talk to the people. I want the people to see what you get versus what I get out of the cigars, right? So as we know with beers, you know, we're always nosing, right, before we do it. You know, then we'll take a sip and try to get all the flavors from the nose to the mouth to the brain, right?
Yes.
So we're going to do the same thing with the cigars.
Sounds great.
So the way that we do this, have you ever done this before?
You
ever nosed it?
You know, so kind of one of the interesting things is I've always smelled cigars, but kind of almost the way kind of for you with beer, kind of being a little bit newer and learning more.
Right.
I've always enjoyed cigars, but I've never gone into the detail of what cigars will give you. You know,
Right.
those flavor notes. I've always smelled them,
Right.
but you know, because
That's the typical thing.
right, that's the typical
Right
thing.
there, that's the typical thing.
Right, but you and I sat down one night and we were talking about wrappers in Philly, and I think that's when we kind of realized how much, you know, cigars and kind of beer and other stuff kind of go together in the processes themselves, about how, you know, a different style wrapper with a different filler
Right.
can give you a totally different,
Change the complexity.
right,
Yep.
and that's what really got me to want to sit down and actually kind of learn more
Right.
about cigars as well,
So this is what we're going to do then. So everybody likes to do this.
right?
They smell a cigar. And most
First thing I did, of course.
of the time it smells like a turd. Most of the time, right?
Right.
But they always say if it smells like a turd, it's going to be good. Right?
Okay.
But here's where you're going to get the real flavors out of the cigar. So you're going to take it by the foot, which is the opening for you guys.
Okay.
Take it by the foot. You're going to close off one nostril.
Yep.
You're going to take a deep smell in.
Okay.
So we're going to... What do you get? You need to do it again, switch nostrils.
Of course. See, to me, I get kind of some kind of darker tobacco flavor.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost hard to kind of explain exactly what it is, but it's almost a smoothness as well that it's actually quite appealing. you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let everybody know what it is that we're actually nosing right now. We're using the CAO Mfuma. The CAO Amazon Basin. That's what we're actually nosing right now.
Okay.
So the basin is totally different. So like you said, the smoothness is definitely there. But some of the characteristics that you're going to have in here is going to be a little bit of coffee. So like your dark roasted type coffee. You're going to get a little bit of with the creaminess, you're going to get more from the chocolatey type flavors. So that's what we're actually getting out of this one. So like I said, you know, you smell the wrapper,
Right.
it's going to smell like a turd. It's
Yeah.
guaranteed.
It just kind of, honestly, it smells like almost any other cigar.
It smells like any other cigar. Nothing different. So what's up, Lauren? So what we did today, I mean, if you can imagine, so what we're going to do, you brought us, which style?
So this is actually M5.
The M5.
Yeah, and this is kind of one of our beers that we actually just released.
Okay.
So people
This
started,
isn't the new one, is it?
this is so the taste that I gave you was an early taste
Okay.
when we tasted this. Our bottle sale was, I believe, 2 weeks ago
Right.
online, and we are now allowing people to pick up the bottles here at Abnormal at the restaurant, the Cork and Craft.
So I can get a bottle.
So you can get a bottle.
I'm down.
So
Okay.
I got a special when we did an online sale, so we don't.
I know.
We're not really selling them.
Yeah.
per bottle because we did that online sale and that
Right.
was kind of taken care of. But I actually had set one aside for you because we had already seen that you like this, and I gave you the candy cane ice cream cake.
Oh
too,
my
which
God,
I
a
really
candy
like
cane
that.
ice cream cake. You guys have got to get that during the season. It's only a seasonal beer.
Yep.
If you don't get it, you're just missing out. I'm not even going to tell you about it. I'm just not going to tell you.
So this is M5, and the unique thing about M5 being the Imperial Stout in the way that it is this one has pecans,
Right.
cinnamon, vanilla, and coffee. And with this beer, we team up with Moster Coffee, which is a
Right.
local coffee roaster out
Love
of
Moster Coffee.
Carmel Mountain Ranch.
Yeah.
Yep. And this is actually to celebrate their 5th year anniversary.
Right.
We've done a beer for them basically every year, starting at year 2 with our M2 bottle.
Okay.
And so we've done M2, M3, M4, and this is this year's M5.
Okay.
And so, one of the things that we've talked about is, unique things with how we do our beers, and the stouts is where things really start to get interesting.
Yes.
We say pecans, and it's not pecan puree, it's not some extract.
Right.
We use real pecans.
Right.
And
That's what I love about you guys. Everything
in the
is true.
process. Yeah. Oh yeah. If we can avoid using an extract,
Yeah.
we completely avoid it. Up into a beer that we did called #Basic, where literally I walked in one day and saw Niall roasting up. I think it was 250 pounds of pumpkin.
What?
Yeah. So it was a #Basic is a pumpkin spice beer, and for October is when he usually makes it, and
Dude, I gotta talk to him.
Oh
man.
yeah, for all those pumpkin spice latte fans, it's a beer like that, and he wanted pumpkin. He wanted that real
Wow.
thing. So we roasted, in our kitchen we roasted pumpkin chunks, and then on top of it he added pumpkin pie filling.
Stop it.
Right, and to make this really unique, really great tasting seasonal beer. And I'm pretty sure #Basic will be back this year. It's been a hit during October.
I gotta talk to Niall.
But the thing is a lot of people don't want to drink beers like that
Right.
Late in the season, including Imperial Stouts. And because usually those are beers that you drink during the cold months. And
I'll drink a stout any day of the week.
I mean, we're in San Diego, so
There's no cold months.
Yeah, right, there is no cold. We go running when it's 50 degrees and
Right.
it's chilly. So kind of here now we start to drink all these beers year round, and I think
Yeah.
that's one of the great things. People look at stouts and see a dark beer and kind of get afraid, not too sure. And the thing is that most Imperial Stouts are super flavorful.
Yes.
With flavor notes that people really like.
Yeah, it's
Coffee,
yeah.
right? I mean, any coffee fan, if you've not been able to find a beer that you like, but you like coffee, try a coffee stout.
Try a coffee stout.
Try a coffee stout because you get those great roast characteristics.
Mhm.
A good roasted coffee.
Mhm.
With us we use Mostro. We've done stuff with a couple other coffee roasters as well.
Right.
And so, you get different flavors and different things with it, and that's why looking at stuff like pecans and cinnamon and
Right.
Vanilla. I mean,
Change the game.
it changes the game, and you realize that how many different types of vanilla there were.
Yeah.
I had no clue how many different types of vanilla there were. And there's Tahitian, Madagascar. There's all these different types of vanilla.
It's like cigars.
It's like cigars,
Yeah.
right? How many places can you name right now for tobacco? You
Probably
got
about 12.
Carolina, you got Dominican,
Yeah.
right? You got all these different types, and each one has its unique flavors.
Right.
And so that's kind of where this kind of goes, and that's what's awesome about it is, and why really a brewer isn't just pouring grain into
Right.
a kettle and
Exactly.
and having beer come out the other side. They really have to be innovative. They have to think down the road.
Yep.
How are these notes going to be, or what notes do I want?
Yeah.
What flavor do I want our patrons to get when they drink this beer?
Right.
And so
It takes a lot of detail.
It does. It takes a lot of detail, and I'll tell you, Niall can tell you and explain all the flavors and notes and stuff far better than I ever can.
Yeah.
Because he's been doing it for so long and makes such great combinations.
And that's no lie, he does.
Yeah. And so M5, which cheers.
Yes, sir.
Is a great imperial stout. Which you get vanilla comes out.
Jeez, you can't beat this,
right?
Man.
What's awesome is taking a little bit of a risk and taking that little bit of a risk and doing something like cinnamon.
Mm-hmm.
Cinnamon is a flavor for anybody
which
that
is
can
definitely
be
in this
overpowering, right? It's in it, but you start to taste it kind of a little bit differently. It blends really well with the vanilla that comes in kind of on that backside.
So it's not like the cinnamon challenge. You take a spoonful.
No. It's got this great flavor note that goes right along with the coffee, the vanilla.
It does.
And the other thing that's really great is as you sip on a beer like an imperial stout, as it warms up,
right,
the flavors change.
They change.
And I really, when we were sitting down and talking, the way I really equated it was how a cigar flavor changes as you smoke it.
Right.
As you get down to that very end,
right,
those notes and those flavors can change.
And that's because of the complexity that's inside the filler.
Right.
So the filler, depending on where it comes from. So you can have Nicaraguan filler, right? You can have a Ecuadorian binder. That in itself is going to change the complexity. And how much of that filler is going all throughout that cigar changes, because there's a long filler, then you have short fillers. So that is what actually helps the complexity change in those cigars.
Now I got a question.
Yeah.
So, when you look at filler, when you look at a cigar, you got tobacco leaf on the outside,
Yep.
but you got tobacco on the inside too.
Correct.
So filler is just basically a more finely chopped wrapper, in a sense?
No.
Okay. So there's a difference.
Each tobacco, each leaf is grown a certain way in a certain region.
Okay.
So what you're looking at is that you will have, if you ever take a look at one of the factories down in Nicaragua or Dominican Republic or Cuba, you'll see that there are different sections inside of the factories, just like there is in a brewery, I'm sure.
Yep.
So you have an area where you're going to have grain.
Right.
You're going to have an area where you're going to have your malt. You're going to have an area where you're going to have whatever. So it's all put in certain places. So you'll have a filler section, just all those tobaccos that are going to be just for the filler, because those are going to be either, again, long filler or short fillers, right? So then you have an area just for the binder tobacco. Then you have another area just for the wrapper tobacco. And depending on, the manufacturer themselves, they're going to go and pick out particular tobaccos so that they can make and create their particular cigars. So what you get is, sometimes you'll get the same, which is considered a Puro cigar. So let's just say Honduran, right? So your filler, your binder, and your wrapper will all be from Honduras.
Okay.
That's considered a Puro. So it's going to be pure. It's going to be the same.
Okay.
Some of the other times that you get into, like we're talking about, you can mix different tobaccos to create certain aromas or flavors or notes and stuff like that fits the palate, just like what Niall does. He makes sure that he creates something that the people want to taste. And that's what most master blenders do. They create something that most people want to taste. If it doesn't taste good to them, they just chunk it.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if they go through an entire yield of freaking tobacco. If one cigar doesn't taste right, which most of the time they're going to taste 3, 4, 5 different cigars. If it doesn't taste right, it's gone. It's out.
Okay.
So that's what happens whenever it comes to the tobacco industry. I got to say what's up to my dentist right now, Mr. Alfredo Ripa. And Mr. Larry Adams, welcome in. Thank you, good sir. So, but yeah, that's what happens whenever you are dealing with tobacco. And I don't know how that would equate over to the beer world.
Well, once again, the crazy thing is it does in a sense. Once again, once you create the beer, and you've combined those grains and you've soaked them and you've drawn them over,
right.
And once they're in the fermenter, the process isn't over. It's not that it just gets left alone and not touched. Mm-hmm. All throughout the stages, our brewers are tasting the beer,
right.
All through its different stages, just to make sure that A, it's fermenting the way that we want it to.
Right.
But B, also to know when it's really ready.
And see, like you guys may taste the beer with the tobacco factories.
Right.
The blenders are actually smelling.
Right. They're getting that aroma because their palate is so fine tuned that they know, and that's, I think, I like to think for most brewers that's kind of the way that it is their palates are so fine tuned to know some of the things that tell you when that beer is ready to be carved and ready to be drank, and that's all throughout the entire process is what happens with beer.
Right.
And so that's, that aspect is very much the same, waiting and once again with beer, it is about aroma, it is about taste.
Yes.
It's all of those factors in one because, if you don't have all of those factors together, you don't have a good beer.
You don't have a good beer, yeah. I can't imagine. I mean, I guess I can in the cigar world, but I'd hate to taste a bad beer,
Right.
Because one of the things that we want to make sure that we do whenever it comes to pairings is that things should kind of like match up. And what I tell people is like this: when you put on a suit, right? You put on a gray suit.
Yep.
You may want a blue tie, but everything else needs to coordinate.
Yes.
Right? So everything should flow. Everything should go together. So, which is the same thing whenever it comes to pairings. You want to make sure that everything goes together. So if we can, one more time, let's nose this. Let's get a good smell out of it, and then let's think about, does this go well with this? Because obviously we can't burn it, because once it gets burning, it's going to give different complexity, different flavors.
Yep.
But let's just see, just from the nose, do we think that this is really going to go well with this?
Right.
If you say no, that's fine.
Okay.
If you say yes, that's fine.
Let's see.
Like the chocolate.
Yeah, you get kind of the chocolate you get isn't kind of a sweet chocolate.
Right.
It's that darker.
Yes.
Like almost like a cacao nib.
Yes.
Right, which immediately already tells me how well it goes with something like, especially M5 with an imperial stout.
Right. What's up, Skip?
But then you get that little bit of coffee, that dark roast coffee on the backside that you're kind of like, ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Right, and it gives you a little bit more complexity to it. And, quite frankly, yeah, I think, M5 is a perfect match for something like this because, you get that roasted coffee note in the M5.
Right.
You get a little bit of the cinnamon, which gives a little bit of a spice.
Correct.
Just a tad bit, which is actually really nice when you have a kind of a more chocolatey, like a cacao nib style. It gives a little bit of a bite to it. And yeah, I think, if it wasn't raining and we could be outside, we're burning these to be a happy camper.
Man, be happy as heck.
Mm-hmm.
Happy as heck.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the cigar manufacturers that we were just talking about, Skip Martin, he's a owner of Romacraft Tobacco.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
And Skip
Thank
joined
you
us
for
today.
joining us.
Heck yeah, Skip. So you got to get a taste of abnormal beer, man. If you haven't, I don't know. If you have, I know that you are a craft beer drinker. But yeah,
Where are they located?
Romacraft?
Yep.
They're actually out of Nicaragua.
Okay.
But their headquarters is in Austin, Texas.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah. But and all the guys up there, I mean, they actually inside their headquarters, they have a craft beer section.
That's becoming more and more common nowadays.
Yeah.
So many places are really, taking their employees' value much higher and supplying, stuff like craft beer.
Yeah.
You hear about it all the time up in Silicon Valley and stuff like that. And
Right.
so, it's awesome that, businesses are doing that kind of stuff. And,
Right.
Real soon, you never know, you might see Abnormal out there in Austin. So.
Well, I tell you what, it's definitely good because I love Skip. Skip makes a great cigar. A lot of his cigars, to me, would go well with a lot of stouts. Some probably more towards a hazy IPA with some of his line.
Okay.
But they're great cigars, man. I mean, I really can't talk about them enough.
It'd be really awesome to get our hands on a couple and actually, sit down and be able to burn them and really kind of go through a lineup of beers and, see what kind of things we can create with that.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I don't get any cigars from Skip, I'll make sure that we get some.
Sounds good. Pairings are such a big thing. even for us,
Right.
we actually, one of the big things that we're known for as well is our beer and food pairing dinners.
Yes.
Something that not a lot of people did, but
No.
was able to be done because of our uniqueness of being a restaurant and a brewery and a winery. And so we actually still do those.
Right.
Every quarter we do a beer and food pairing dinner. We just did one with Society
Right.
Brewing. And then we've got some other ones coming up this year, and then we do wine as well. And the great thing about those is we invite, once again, trying to collab, right?
Right.
Trying to bring everything together, bring everybody together. We bring breweries and wineries to us.
Right.
And say, hey, let us showcase some of your beer. Make a beer with us.
Right.
And let our chef, and sometimes another chef, we bring in another chef sometimes from another restaurant.
That's awesome.
And they create a menu, and it's a tasting menu that is, 6 to 8 courses.
Right.
And it really is unique to how you can find out that a beer can really truly pair with food. And I think it's the same with the cigar. When you get the two that match and everything comes together, your mind is almost stopped in its tracks.
It's
like,
in a
whoa,
different
wait,
world.
what happened?
Yep.
Wow, everything is coming together, and these things shouldn't come together.
No,
Yeah,
you wouldn't think.
and
Because
so-
I actually had I have a good friend of mine, Alex McDaniels,
Yeah,
who owns a brew bar down in Chula Vista.
yeah.
And it's a specialty beverage lounge. He does a lot of coffee roasting,
Okay.
brewing and tea brewing, but he also has beer and wine. And when I actually introduced him into pairing cigars, it blew his mind.
Yes.
And he said, Leo, this is crazy. I never knew that you could do something like this. So I think that pairings are something that is very important. I think that it's something that people should get more into,
Right.
pairing cigars with beers or pairing cigars with anything. People
Right.
need to really get a true understanding about it. And that's what we're hoping that we're doing for everybody, is bringing the education piece to showing how you can pair those cigars with any beer, spirit, wine, or non-alcoholic beverage.
Right, and once again, kind of the way that I say about it with beer, and I'm starting to feel that way with cigars, is I want to share those experiences with people because I want more people to get the experiences that I'm getting.
Right.
To kind of get that passion, that feel of trying something that's unique, something that's different, something that's abnormal.
Right. Something that's abnormal.
Right? And, so anytime, you can do that with anything, cigars. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, like I said, I'm not an expert on cigars, but I can't tell you how many times I've had friends go, nope, I'll never smoke a cigar because, their friend that said at 18, oh man, you got to try this cigar,
Right.
and they gave him the darkest wrapper possible.
Yep, the Maduro.
On a Maduro on an empty stomach.
Right.
And they go running around the corner, right? Well, you're never going to get anybody to come back.
Right.
So, that's one of those things that I think we need to break down those walls. And when you meet somebody that enjoys cigars, that enjoys beer, give them that opportunity, if you had a bad experience, to maybe give it another shot.
Let me bring you back.
Let me bring you back, and let me kind of share why this is so good.
But you know what? That's what I try to do for people whenever they come to Excalibur.
Right.
I try to introduce people the right way. I try to go through all the teachings that should happen whenever it comes to cigars. And I have people that say, you know what, I had a bad experience, I'll never smoke again. I'm like, well, give me a chance. Let me break everything down for you so that it can hopefully make more sense and you have a better experience.
Right.
You did the same thing to me.
Yeah.
When it comes to IPAs. You said, hey, just try this. Here's what it tastes like. Here's how we did it. Here's how it got produced. Give it a shot.
One of the big things that I always tell people is it's okay to not like it.
Right.
Right? Take my suggestion.
Right.
And if you still don't like it, that's okay.
That's fine.
Let me try something else.
That's right.
And it's more an opportunity to really, everybody's taste buds is different.
Everybody's different.
So it's an opportunity to try to say, hey, well, let me try to work through things. Let's break it down.
That's correct.
Right? So that you have an understanding.
Right.
Right? Because everything starts with actually understanding
it.
And from there, we'll turn around and we'll, get something to where, oh, wow, you found a beer that you like. Or holy cow, you found a cigar that you can sit down and enjoy. And now when all your friends are sitting there drinking whiskeys or beers and enjoying a cigar,
Right.
you don't feel like that kind of guy that's out of the loop because, well, you don't really enjoy a cigar.
Right.
But I'll tell you this, people like you make the cigar buying experience, a good and amazing thing. And I think that a lot of people don't pay a lot of attention to you. Even experienced cigar, smokers.
Right.
They come in, they know what they want, boom,
Right.
they go right there. They don't ever say, hey, what's new?
Right.
Right? And I think that's one of the things that people need to start doing is
should.
when you know that person that works at that spot,
That's right.
hit them up and say, hey, if you're new to cigars, hey, I'm new to cigars.
Right. Just let it be known. It's not going to hurt.
Right? It's not going to hurt. You're going to get steered down the right path.
That's right.
You're going to get a smoke that is going to be enjoyable. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, all of us in the beer community, in the cigar community, we want more people to enjoy what we're doing.
Exactly. We want to give them the experience, and that's what Barrels and Leaves is all about: is being able to provide the experience for people that they didn't know that was there.
Yeah.
Because when you can get a good cigar and you can get a good beer,
It is fabulous.
So Jeff, I thank you, man. It's been a ton of fun.
Hey, just real fast before we end, we're having our 4-year anniversary coming up on March 30th.
March 30th. Okay.
Yeah, so it's open to the public. Anybody wants to come in, please look us up on Instagram, Abnormal Beer Company, and on Facebook, Abnormal Beer Co. And come join us. Come see what we're about. Come see what Abnormal is about. We're gonna have food. We're gonna have beer. We're gonna have plenty of stuff, and it'll be really a good time. So please come on out.
Let everybody know the address.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're at 16990 Via Tizan, San Diego, California 92127. So it's a small industrial park. So when you pull in, you're not in the wrong spot. You'll see the signs that say the Cork and Craft and Abnormal Beer Company and Abnormal Wine, and you're in the right spot. So please come on in and see us. You're going to get a really good experience for food, for beer, for wine.
Yeah.
We strive to truly provide a new and welcoming experience for the new and the experienced drinkers.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
yeah, man, hey, it's been a
Jeff,
pleasure.
it's always fun, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
This is
So happy we could sit down and do it.
yeah. Next time we got to do it with a cigar, though. We
Yes,
gotta
next time we'll get a smoke.
Freaking Mother Nature,
but,
man. I mean, we can't do nothing about her.
No, but you know what? We need the rain. It's going to be green, and you know what? Maybe we do another one in 6 months when we know it's in the middle of summer, and we'll have clear skies
then
for
it'll
sure.
Then it'll be too freaking hot.
That's maybe. Hey, so.
But all right, you guys. I really appreciate you guys' time. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you guys next time. Hang with Barrels and Leafs, which we will be next week with Attitude Brewing. So stand by for that one. See you guys soon.